Yeah, whenever. As far as I'm concerned, I already started.
I thought so too.
You have to do the intro. All right, everybody, what's going on? We're back with episode 2 of Voices from the Hall.
Bill Hall.
And we had a nice little story that Mark just told us. We'll probably include that.
Okay.
Include it all. So
Well, I mean, it's just
how you been?
it's all
Pretty
right.
good.
And I'm looking for you.
Mark's messing with the computer out there. That means he's probably his camera's gonna end up going off or something.
And he'll be fine. It's on my computer, so he should manage. Everything's already
Plug my
set
head
up.
in. And then I went over to her place and saw that crazy ass Norwegian music video, which is amazing. I just couldn't take my eyes off it and was listening, but we had to go.
Norwegian music.
Yeah, what's it called?
It was the band Heilung or Heilung, however you pronounce it.
How do you spell it?
Heilung. 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 Lung. I'm probably butchering it.
Dude, it was.
I've seen these people on foot.
Yeah, she sent me a link a couple months ago. It was pretty cool. I didn't watch it all.
They're really good.
But guess what? I heard twice on the way back in the car, Norwegian Wood. Which is what they were all holding. Heard it once from the Beatles, and the other one was another singer. But I was like, this is crazy.
See, I might have to. I've seen these. They pop up on my Facebook feed or something.
Yeah. It really
They're really good.
I mean, it's totally different than anything I'm used to or I've heard before. But she had it on, and after we talked to you, had to rewind something and put the song because I saw the one gal was singing. I wanted to see how she did that. It was pretty interesting. I was just staring at it, but she got a screen as big as my house, so no, it was easy.
Wow, whenever I try to get you to listen to something new, you always just fucking make fun of me.
Well, yes. You act shocked.
What the hell? I get it, Doc. I get it.
Okay. Yeah, just take it as it comes. Even if it's in the shorts, just take it as it comes. No, so anyway,
we wanted to discuss a little bit about hall life,
right?
This episode. So, tell us about the hall there, Mark.
The hall, The hall is actually the name of the hall is actually Uthmere, which means seahorse, and I think we talked about last episode. With us being on the water in the peninsula and abundance of ospreys and whatever else, and so we wanted something a little bit different, something as a base. And so Uthmere, seahorse, it kind of fit. And then of course the house is Housecraft, which is my Housecraft, and then as a group we're called Osprey Bay. So we have halls everywhere pretty much, but this is the main hall. Been here. We started this hall. We started a group a long time ago, but we didn't have a hall. We would meet outside and go places, and go to other people's houses and go outside, have this, yeah. And then as we evolved a little bit into, the type of heathenry that I cleave to, it became a more structural necessity. Structural items became a necessity, et cetera, et cetera. So we split it, but it's all about the ensemble. This is designed for that. The table, everything here is put together so we can all see each other, hear everybody, and it's functional. I mean, it's totally functional. So if I had a big group of people over here, all from our kitchen and their loved ones or whoever, we can support that. We can support that kitchen wise, support that structurally in the hall and at the table. So it works. We've had some big turnouts here for sure. So so the hall really became really integral into so much of our activities, and people reaching out and coming over. You see stuff behind me. There's horns there, and the gods are chambered in the closet behind me in the bunker, and you see the 1066. So all these things, swords. There's literally stuff we got from over Europe and had people made for us and all kinds of things. So when you take a look at the whole kind of picture over here, it's a house right now, but when we gather, it's a hall, and there's so much to see and so much to appreciate, and so much that we use and utilize. It's part of really who we become and who we are. Housecraft, who's meer? Hey,
Lisa.
Hello.
yeah. So as I was saying, so many things are integral to that we're here as we evolve. Some things are newer, um, some are from the very beginning. So it's a wondrous thing. It's a wonderful thing. Um, it evokes good memories and possibilities for us. So that's why the hall is. It's for us. It's really everything.
Yeah. And before we go any further, real quick, Lisa popped in down there. Lisa Bonson, what's going on?
For that
Oh,
bouncing.
not much. Just here on a Saturday. Always.
You know, David looks like you.
God, you're not the first person to say that this week.
Really this week.
So, I mean, and it's good that now we got Lisa on here as well. So, we're discussing hall life and how we treat it, I mean, overall, and how it's treated in Osprey Bay, and the importance of certain things that are done and how it's done. And I think Lisa brings
Oh yeah.
a good perspective to that because of her position and the power that she holds in that hall.
Well, yeah, and it brings a lot of responsibility. It really does, and that's where when everybody else around can see that the right person's
She's
doing
been a
the
she's been a
job.
constant since she's been a part of the group. She's been a constant. She's always been here for sure.
Yeah. So, and that, again, those things, our functionality together is what really speaks volumes about who we are, why we're still around, and that's why we're talking.
Yeah. And I think there's defined parameters in the hall for various occasions, right?
Well, Yule is more a cautionary tall tale. Um, the whole we don't necessarily do 12 nights, but Yule in itself invites trouble. If you are a fairly new group and you haven't really had time to settle in with who you are, find your strengths, weaknesses, whatever they may be, and understand some of the ancestry of the others around you, you may find unusual events happening around you, during whatever else. And so when you've made offerings, when you've had stumble, when you've spoken to your ancestors over a horn, you're making headway, there for your future and your kids and whatever else. And that tends to keep our Yule at this point quite a safe adventure, is non-volunteers, whites, there's other things going on. So it could be negative, it could be positive. And so we try to make sure that we're firm and positive and giving. And we've had a couple, what was it you one year with heard something in the back room? Yeah. And here's where I make a mistake. And so someone was in the house with us. We were all here having stumble, I think what it was. And it was obviously something in the back room. So instead of grabbing, I had my sacks on me. Instead of grabbing maybe a sword, which wouldn't work on their hall or anything, I grabbed my pistol. And then when I get in, there was nothing. And it just felt like the room was just cold. So if I had responded, I'm just as I'm thinking, I don't know for sure, but if I had responded as person of the time that we're honoring, maybe something we would have seen something or been given some advice or something would have happened. Or I could have got my ass killed, but whatever. So just things like that. That's what the kind of things you expect around large happenings, but typically more so at Yule.
I think that's also raises the importance of keeping doors closed.
Yeah, absolutely. Security is really important. The thing is, you want to be welcoming. You want to actually doors closed but unlocked. So it's an invitation, and we even put a sign out, "Come in, we're open," stuff like that. Um, but we try to focus on the welcoming. Come here and get this when we go outside to make an offering. You know what I mean? So you have to strike a balance. And if, again, we've had so many years to do this. We've found that we've achieved. There's nothing we really have to worry about. Mother's Night, I would probably, Yule Night, be a little more open about it. Mother's Night, the nights before, just a little more tight about it. You know what I mean? Because the V nights start and things can start happening, and that's just not even with spirits, but it's with animals. I mean, it's just odd things happen. Nothing frightening, nothing dangerous so far yet, but that was a one big incident in the room over there, and it was all of us froze. It clear to everyone there was something back that just made a big noise, and there was no animal. The door was closed. There was nobody there, so no one, nothing. Very
What
odd.
about in other celebrations other than Yule? What's the importance of the hall in those?
Well, Ostara is less so, but again, as we function as a hall society, and that's what we are, we're going to do our offerings and assemble inside, and we make the offerings outside. But some people do all that outside, and especially in Ostara for us, we start the night before, and then in the morning we make the offerings to sooner, and that's a major difference. The only thing you have to worry about then is if you have a large fire going, you got to watch that, and then that tends to attract other things. Nothing any that ever happened that's bad. But just got to kind of keep an eye on the fire. And I have a lot of fencing, so I'm not worried about coyotes coming in or like that. But you just got to kind of keep an eye on it. And
So
also,
thank you for whites for sure.
yeah, yeah. But the fire keeps them at bay. Anything that
Yeah.
was not has no good intentions. But that's again, we're not suffering any illusions about what we've accomplished and where we're at and stuff. And again, just home this Hall being so well established and entrenched, I think has comes with its own protective devices. You know what I mean? Just the fact that the time and place here, and I think that uh, we've established a boundary around us. Of activities that we wouldn't go down the street and do something like the industry, but our yard's a little bit wider. We have a little more room to function, and it seems that it's like outdoors are very accepting to what we do. I've never been rained out, and not crazy stuff like that, or had big birds drop in on us. It's been good. So it's been again we're very entrenched here, and well we have, but not right on us, but yeah, we had some last week or week before. And the other thing is you'll start. Those two are the big ones for us. Yeah, varies from group to group. You'll being the primary. But we've had some great success, and what I'm trying to do, one of the reasons for me, talking to everybody here, us going over stuff again and reliving, is for going forward. Because again, I said last podcast that we have kids, they're grown, we want them to have success and to take charge, take lead, have the proper guidance, which they all do have. They're all good kids. I say kids, but they're young adults. And that's what this is for, to talk about this stuff. So it may give them some understanding of what they can expect, what may happen, because you're doing it someplace you've never done it before, and you're starting out. You may not be with the kindred. You say, "I'm visiting friends in Oklahoma, and I want to do I want to do something." And you're kind of on your own on that one, but that's the kind of stuff that you have to this can offer some insight into that kind of activity.
What about when there's not really, you're not doing one of the holiday events or something like that? What about just when in everyday life? How does the hall come into play in that?
Well, marriages is a big one. Achievements that are, colleges. Those are things that we recognize. We want the ancestors to see. We only go so far with that, but birthdays, even if we're together, happen to be together for that, celebrate that, or we can celebrate them all at one day. Everybody's birthday for the year, whatever. Because birthdays aren't important to me, but some people that are, it's a big deal. But yeah, the achievements and passing on responsibilities to other people in front of everybody else, or even if you have guests who aren't part of the kindred, those things speak well to how entrenched we are, dignified, and have comfort in who we are, what we do, and what we're doing, and what we're going to do. So
Cool.
that would be my big thing. Yeah, it would be like something like that, some kind of achievement. Yeah, it's like, e- oh, it was I was a chieftain, but I came back, I stepped down and came back as a chieftain, but I'd gone to war, and back in the day, that was a big deal. Not in my day necessarily, but that was a big deal. I went to Iraq, of course, Afghanistan, Kuwait, and everybody. But to come back like that, victorious. Not just me, but all of us were victorious. That's a big deal. So that kind of thing. If one of our boys went off to something like that, that'd be a big thing to celebrate and honor and give them, some something to take with them.
Yeah.
Well, for me, a part of the hall, like, because I come to visit all the time, and it's my home away from home. It's it's a place that I can go. I enjoy being here. I mean, obviously, this is my family, but I mean, it's a place of gathering. It's a place of comfort. It's a place of you know where everything comes together. But it's to me, it's really important to have for me the constant connection
Yep.
of just trying to always be a part of it and try to always be here helping out, cooking, cleaning, anything that they need, things like that. That's
Yeah, and she
I'm
does do
always
that.
trying to
Yeah.
help.
Yeah. So
And
that raises something that now, Mark. What about for hospitality purposes? If somebody is coming to visit you for a day, how important? What's the importance of the hall in that aspect?
Well, it's the halls. There's nothing more important, but other than the people that are in the hall, or the people who are members of the kindred. But if you have distinguished guests or people that you at least admire and respect, then they deserve a positive reinforcement response and a welcome. And we're very open with. Here's something to drink. Here's something to eat. It doesn't have to be a big hall function, but that's how we do that. My friend Brian Smith came down here one time, and it was just a beautiful, wonderful day for all of us. But it
Mhm.
wasn't, an event that it's really was an event like this, us sitting and chatting and talking and getting to know things that are going on behind the scenes among other groups. In today's modern age, I can tell everybody here, we're seeing more groups on Facebook, but for the large part, us and a couple other groups, 3 or 4 other groups are really, as far as the USA is concerned, the States, uh, been here longer than a linger. We've been here a long time. We're solid people, married, kid. I mean, it just goes on and on and on and on. And but we want to, keep that. So yeah, we're gonna definitely honored guests are honored guests, and we can make that call. And if there's something that we're unsure about, we'll talk to each other about it. So wants to come. How do you feel about that? I mean, I'd come to you and same thing. And everybody has a different kind of perspective on it, which is again unites us. And that's the part that you just don't want to let that slip away. That's why I'm pushing for this, pushing. This podcast
yeah,
would
we
go.
certainly don't lack in communication. We have a very good communication in this group, that's for sure.
Yeah. So of course we're going to Colorado in June, and that's going to be an event of that nature. So I don't think it's going to be very formal, but it's still going to be extremely worthwhile. I know a lot of good will come of it. Um, and I know it will. I'm not hoping. I know it will. I know this. From our perspective, I know we're going to put a hell of a lot of effort into it, and whatever it takes, and then listen. I'm going to spend a weekend with people listening to what they have to say, and then maybe I'm sure people will have questions for me, wherever else. But that's again, this is the kind of thing that helps out. People can see it. They go, "Oh, I know. Oh, I didn't know that about them." No, whatever. So that's why this, especially up to June, I think a lot of people, actually heathens anyway, will tune into it at some level and gain some kind of insight into who we are and what we're doing and why we're doing
So that brings me to another question here. What's the importance of women in the hall?
it. That is the most important thing in all. Sorry, it is
Why?
because well, balance first of all, wisdom, right, and shield maidens are peacemakers. All kinds of things happen in big, giant, busy halls, depending on the leadership and how it's run. But to me, it's always been about you know this one here and this one here, and there's others, but they are the spine, the backbone. They are what uh, keeps us on the straight and narrow. It keeps us, from sometimes just being boozy, stupid men. And so I seek their advice all the time on all kinds of things. Oh, I just at least say, "What's your take on this?" I generally have a pretty good idea what I want to do, whatever we're doing. But so if it's people who don't look to the women for advice and even leadership and their intuitions, you're making a big mistake. I understand if the woman in your hall is 19. Okay, well, all right, okay, you know what I'm saying? But if somebody that's that young is if they're there on their own volition, unless they're somebody's son or daughter, that says a lot to me, you know, that young. It could be a
Yeah.
little older, but whatever. And no, I think that again, remember we kept during Yule and other places, the place always felt safe and so and so. When you hear female voices, whether they be singing, reading, stumbling, that puts a whole kind of mellow, just feeling on everything. It's just really rejoiceful. It's really fun. It's strength. It really is. You can be a big guy and I'm 6'4", right? And big head like whatever, dude. But when the women have something to say, if the men don't listen, you're unless she's proven herself otherwise, but she shouldn't be there if she's or anybody should
Yeah.
be there for that matter. If they're not going to cut it anyway. But that I don't know how to put it in any other kind of words except that they epitomize who we are and what we are.
Yeah. That brings me to Lisa then. So, Lisa,
Well, I mean,
how would you answer that question about the importance of women in the hall?
well, I think for women, we bring a lot of, stability. Sometimes we're more likely to sit back and observe and then, review things. We're not always right up into what's going on. But we also a lot of times handle what's going on in the background too. It's the cleanup, it's the handling, it's making things go smoothly to make sure, it's day to day. It's not just a moment. It's just
Right.
not getting together for this one event. It's everything before that and beyond that.
Mm.
And
Right.
if you don't have that, then a lot of times those events kind of fall apart.
Yeah,
Okay. I got
you
you.
get it. The sudden. There's another reason for not having the sudden come together hall moments because that right there, it takes planning and it should be done right. That's my responsibility. That it is. We all have a responsibility in that aspect, but it falls to me. And so, something goes wrong, or it's not the way it should be, then it falls on me, and that people can use that and say, "Hey, what are we going to do? How are we going to make this better and stronger?" And usually, it's the women who are going to make. You could have done this. It might have been easier. I never had many complaints. I'm saying, but I'm just using it for giving you an example.
But even though it's I was gonna say, even though it's Marcus's hall, we'll often step in and say, "What do you need? How can we help? Where where
Right.
where do you need us? Is there something you missing? What can we add to this to
Yep.
Right.
assist him?" Yes, he's leading, but we're gonna be there to support no matter what.
Mhm.
Yep.
Right. And that's exactly why you just define our success just by that. Everybody participating and wanting to play a role in doing things, not just hanging out waiting for somebody. That just has never happened here. It did in the very beginning when people didn't know enough when we were large, when we had 15, 20 people or something. I don't know. But
40,
you
50
know,
people.
it is huge. But that's she made it actually was the definitive description there. That's actually true. So everybody has a role to play and a lot of people go after their own role, find their own place, And I've never had anybody say, "I don't want to do that." If I ask them to, they just there it goes. So it benefits all of us. This is something we're all patting ourselves on the back because we deserve it. Our ancestors love us. There's all kind. We have success. I mean, this is the kind of things. It's so integral. That's why our communicating all the time is so important because if you see somebody once a year and you don't even know the person after a while or what they've
Yeah.
what I mean? It just doesn't. I understand about people not living close by, moving and getting. I mean, like you. I mean, that's perfectly. But here we are doing something about it because all of us feel a need to say something, do something, even for each other. This is just
Yeah.
right now. This is just a second podcast first, but I want everybody to be clear, and I like your questions. Um, and where we're at, but I don't think anybody here really has any serious issues with the people that belong to Oscar Bay. I just think it's okay. But wish we could be closer together. That'd be really nice. But it's okay. This format here, I think, is excellent though.
Yeah. We get to see each other's face.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
like
that's
that.
your face.
That's not really, but So when we talk about, you said earlier, Mark, that it hasn't always been the hall, right? I mean, it's starting early on. We did things that were done a little bit differently, so
Yeah, yeah,
it took some time and learning, right?
that's true.
Uh,
Yep, that's correct.
to create that hall atmosphere, right?
Mhm.
And to have people having their positions, their jobs to do,
Yeah,
right? And I think one of the things I remember clearly is when we started going that way. Look, like you said, 30 years
yeah,
on that property. It's holy land. Right?
yeah.
That's what it is. So creating that hall life, when I remember when it came around, was when you came back from the sandbox when you were over there.
Yeah.
And you started really redoing a lot of this framing and stuff inside the house with the wood beams and that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
Um, I remember that, and I remember that being for me anyway. Um, like the time frame, the period of that change of when we stopped doing stuff like
Intermittently.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it was like it was more hall centered after that point.
Yeah, and we've proven to at least to ourselves that that was the right way to go,
Yeah,
you know, and it's just yeah. To me, it makes more sense. I think, and just to overgeneralize here, but, people over in Northern European, if they didn't have if they had a warm place to stay and in the winter they were doing Yule, they weren't gonna go outside and do all that shit. Yeah. Yeah, so that's what they're talking about. So it was much of it was common sense. But again, as the hall builds layers and layers with people, and relations, with other groups and whatever else, it really, like you said, this place has seen it all in a lot of ways, and I don't bash other people for doing the way they do things, and they maybe don't know enough, have enough time in rank, I guess, but that's okay. And again, if we can provide one or two people around the planet with a little bit of guidance, as such as it is, I mean, not do this, do that, none of that, but there's a reason why we do this, and so maybe that might resonate with you. This is what it is. So all those things
yeah.
we can talk about for sure.
Good. Now, what one of the big things I think that helps, from my viewpoint, from what I've seen, correct me if I'm wrong, it helps create that full circle in the hall life. Um, is the job that Lisa does
Yes.
to kind of tie those ends together.
Mhm.
Um, especially during um, the seasons that we celebrate.
Mhm.
Yule,
Yeah.
and feast and that kind of stuff.
Right.
Her job, if we didn't have that, we would definitely there would be something completely missing.
You totally understand.
Right.
Yeah, you totally. I know you did, but I'm just saying that it's a good point you're making in this podcast for that.
Yeah.
We can go talk about that too.
Yeah. Well, that's why I brought it up.
Yeah. Was that your face again?
Mhm.
So Lisa's our mead maiden. So she's in charge of cleansing the bowl, making the mead, holy like it should be, and things of that nature, starting things, moving the horn around. And she's a presence. It's not just a, here you go, no, 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 no. It's a presence, and this at any particular gathering that we do. Uh, Now we can do a Gabor ship outside. That's no big deal. If so summertime, we want to go out, but whatever. Just don't get real serious with your summer. But because you're summoning to each other in a fire anyway. But this is really, again, that was what you're right, David. It's one of the things that really kind of brought the essence of uh, hall life to bear was well, Stumble does it itself, but didn't have it presented in a way that you could participate and feel comfortable with, and it even leaves you in awe. I mean, look how quiet we get at Stumble. We're just very silent. We're thoughtfully moving and speaking our words, of course. Um, I just people just fall into we're all standing. This is how it goes. Watching her with the bowl, and the cup, and then of course our horns or whatever else. So it's really, I think that's been one of the probably the bigger things that I've seen that I can say that
Yeah.
is a binder, Stumble in itself too, but that's what she is doing part of that. She starts it. So once we're off to a good start, we're off to a good finish. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah, I think that's because we've always been there, right? We've always been
Yeah.
there doing these things, but it wasn't until Lisa, she basically intertwined all of us,
Right.
all of us, you know, beings out there, and intertwined us together to kind
Yeah.
of encapsulate that hall atmosphere. Where if we try to do it without her or any woman, you know, doing the job that she does,
Yeah. It
it
won't
wouldn't be
happen.
complete. We
Yeah.
wouldn't.
It wouldn't happen anyway. Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, that job belongs to a female. People can argue with me over the internet. I don't give two shits or I know about it. So the next person I'm going to go to is, you know, if somebody else has a 20-year-old daughter that knows what's going on, or of course right here, Wendy, that's just what's going to happen. So I would get more involved in how it proceeds, just to make sure, because she hasn't had all the experience with it yet, but she knows how to do it. And so, but that's fine. We can continue to carry on. I mean, there's things, in the world that, have effect over us that's out of our control. And I do not try to control things that are just not in my control. I'm not going to waste my time and energy on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Think about that for a second there, but yeah.
That's all right. Yeah.
And I think the importance, and I think this is definitely one of the things that separates Osprey Bay from a lot of other groups out there. The importance of hall life, and I'm not saying there's no other groups out there that don't
Right.
hold hall life in that regard. But I think that there's a lot more groups out there that don't really fully understand the importance of that, right? And they want to be outside and around a huge
Eh,
fire, doing other things
Right.
all the time.
Eh,
Which I understand because we used to do the same thing.
Yeah, that's right.
But for the importance of having a roof over your head when you're doing certain things, because not everything you do, you want the gods involved. So
Exactly.
having that cover over top of you when we're discussing things and talking things is important, and I think it's one of the things that we've come to learn.
Yeah, and things tend to, in my estimation, things tend to get layered in. Symbols and words and activities tend to become part of the texture of the walls. You know what I'm saying? I know it sounds a little bit, but it's true. We've seen not scary things, but unusual things, and we know that was part of something that.
Things there too.
Yeah, yeah, my pants fall down. I'm sorry. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But it has a functionality. It has a purpose. It has, so far it's had longevity, and it's going to have success for it. It means something to everybody. Everybody has maybe a slight different take on it, and that's perfectly fine. That's it's great. But when people walk in here, that no one feels nervous. I've never seen that unless there's somebody else with this. They're new to heathen, and they, I said you can come over and watch, but you kind of sit on the couch over there. You ain't going to participate. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
But I don't think there's just been so much here, so many words spoken. Even the furniture is heathen. Yeah. I mean, it's ridiculous.
So what's the value or the importance of like a camaraderie atmosphere in the hall during feasts and that that kind of stuff?
Yeah, well, that's where you see the camaraderie is basically be at feast. People will make, toast, oats, boats, and toast, and and there's nice stuff to happen at feast, and people talk about their year and their success, and it's almost like a worship, really in a way. Um, but that is where camaraderie comes in. Also, it comes in at the beginning of something where we gather that, like Lisa and when you come over, other people come over and help me prepare the food and, get, make things in a way that will make us all quite satisfied, and of course everything else. And so, yeah, we leave. Everything is so internal. There's not very little external thing. I mean, you're externally the way we act out in society and with among others that are non-heathen or whatever. That's such a powerful message. I mean, really just to yourself and who you are, and people around you, friends, coworkers, whatever else. But if you can feel that people are fond of you, like you, trust you, whatever, um, and you're acting as a heathen at all times. That's who you are, and you're doing the right thing all the time. Well, you know, so
Well, let me say something real quick. We're so outside of us doing things, during events or whatever. We're friends on the outside. We talk all the time. I mean, it's just not like we just speak to each other on occasions and things like that. We are always talking. We're always doing things together, even outside of events and stuff. So
that's
that's
true. That's true. So,
I think and I think Wendy, I think to go off of that, I think that the the reason why we have that outside is because of the ties we've woven and
yeah,
bound inside the home.
absolutely. Yep,
You know,
100%.
yeah, the trust, and it's you just you know, people prove themselves over and over, and this can be applicable anywhere, not just in the heathen world. But I'm just saying is that I carry myself. If people once in a great while, I get asked about something at work, and I'll say, "Well, no, I'm a chieftain of a Saxon kindred, but you can go look it up." And like, "Oh, well, oh, yeah, somebody came in that was out of control, and threw them out of the store, not even blinking. And how'd you just, you know?" And I tell here's a I don't want to go off on a tangent here, but I tell people at work, they go, "How can you do it? You're older. How do you do all this? What you're doing?" I said, "Listen, you have to be dangerous, not necessarily physically dangerous. I am. But you have to be dangerous in knowledge, which all of us are, and you have to be in history, at least anyway. And you have to be dangerous in your job. You can be so damn good at that, people are trying to keep up with your ass, and then you can pave your own damn way. And that's the same whether you're a chieftain, whatever, a warrior, whatever you want to do. Be freaking dangerous. I don't mean that. And being dangerous gives you confidence. You know what you can do. You know your ability. So no one's gonna piss. You can't piss me off at work. They can say stupid shit, whatever. Why? You I can't control you, and you can't control me. But just whatever. Keep walking and talking stupid shit, but be dangerous in what you do. Be very, very good at no matter what it is. And then of course, you earn respect naturally in any religion. But for us, I think internally being dangerous gives us a leg up on dealing with outside viewpoints, world viewpoints I'm talking about, um, than anything else, and that's either lends itself to that, you know?
hmm yeah, and then I think the whole aspect of being able to bring you know our lives and the things that we've had to deal with and bring it to the hall to discuss it,
Yeah,
and to talk about it.
yeah.
I think it's that safe space, if you want to say, I guess.
I
You know,
yeah, it's smart space.
yeah, smart
Um,
space.
you know, people bring that to each other in a group setting like this. That's pretty smart. That's pretty smart because there's more to, I don't wanna, internalize too much, but or even externalize, but, there's more to an opinion about whatever the subject is, and very often ours is gonna be quite different than, the rest of the world,
Oh yeah.
you know? And I'm not saying it's radically different, I'm just saying it's gonna be different, and it's mostly for a different reason and for future, so we always have to think about the future too, so those kind of things, people should come and, and we've had some stuff with kids in school and parents coming here and say, well, how you do with that? And so like, okay, I think you can deal with that, but deal with it as a heathen if if they're fairly new or something. We don't have any new people now, but how to grasp this because they're living in it externally if they're not here all the time and involved like the rest of us are. They're going to take a different kind of path, which I don't think. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it's just not really kind of building your credit, your bond with your belief,
Yeah.
and you just they're not connecting. So those kind of things like that, should be dealt with internally as best as we can. It can be nobody's business. If you don't want to tell me something, hey, none of my damn business about your kid or whatever else. You know, if you committed a crime, then I need to know.
Yeah.
But other than that, really it's just what you want to bring, and it's surprising at Stumble again is the things that come up at Stumble. And I think that really is bonds us in some ways. Like, how come I didn't know that? Or I didn't understand fully what this person was going through with this particular issue, whether it be good, bad, or otherwise. I mean, that's a time to brag too. Don't get me wrong. Brag about whatever. But those that's the kind of thing that's so integral to a group of people trusting each other,
Yeah.
and really coming together as friends or as kindred mates. We all have responsibility, and we're all owners of this. This is who we are. This is what we are, and I love it. I mean, I just like I said, you know, people even at work when we're not super busy. So I'm like walking. I get historical questions. Can you freaking believe like, what are you talking? Okay, but I laugh because I laughed at myself when they asked me. Okay, yeah, whatever. But it's funny, and I appreciate it. Don't get me wrong; it's not underappreciated by any means, um, but it's informative, and that's the kind of thing. These kind of thoughts kind of keep me going
Yeah.
in a lot, even for just at some different level. It has to be, it's not the most important thing in the world, but it's there. You know what I mean? And I look back at all of us and who we are, you know, that it informs my persona every day, all day, no matter where I'm at, who I'm with, or what I'm doing.
Oh, I like that. Now, for Wendy, let's see that you've been with Osprey Bay, since day one.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
and you took some time away.
Yep.
How have things changed in your eyes, as far as the hall goes?
Walking back in was just like walking back into a house that it just felt like yesterday. There's just been no change. I mean, as far as like the only thing I think that's really changed is our age.
Yeah,
But
I was gonna say the same thing.
yeah, I mean, but that's it. I mean, it's just walking back in is just like I just was here yesterday. There's no difference. Everything it is great, and I love that. I love that. You know, just being welcome back in. After being gone for so long, and it wasn't that I wasn't physically here, but I mean, I still had communication with Mark and stuff. But yeah,
Yeah. And we're glad you're back.
We
thank you.
are.
And
I'm glad to be back.
Lisa, I know we've been doing things together here for so long. I can't even remember
Right.
when you weren't doing
Yeah.
your the job there in the hall. But there was a time before Osprey Bay that you were with another group or with other people. Now coming into, I know you're kind of old, so if you can remember the back that far, if you can remember back that far, uh, how do you look at the differences on how things are done outside hall life as compared to in hall life now in your position?
Well,
Can you remember that far back?
yeah, actually, yes, I can.
That's not
Um,
funny.
I was a part of Tampa Bay Heathen Association,
Mhm.
which that's kind of how I came into heathenry before I joined Housecraft and Udmere, um, or entered into Uthmere actually. Um, and it's funny because I came in as a family, and which was very unique at that time. Very few people locally had families, and I was married at the time. I had 3 children, and that was different because it was a lot of single people.
Mhm.
And so a lot of people looked to me and said, "Hey," because I was obviously already responsible, was handling 3 children, and a lot of stuff got left to me. Um, whether the coordinating of things, whether the being the mead maiden at things, and just kind of did that, but there wasn't the support that I have now with Osprey Bay. Yes, I was handling a lot, but it felt like
Mm.
I was literally pointing at people and going, "Okay, you do this, you do this, you do this." But they weren't necessarily stepping up. A few people did, but overall it was they were wanting to be led. I don't
Right.
feel that with Osprey Bay. We all have our place. We all kind of lead at different points.
That's a good way to put it.
Um and but and we lean on each other too. I mean, there's you know, yes, Marcus is our chieftain, but we all kind of lean on each other. It's not, we're not
That's
entirely
right.
leaning on him.
Yep.
Couldn't agree more. Yeah, that, well, that, and that perspective there you just brought. I did a lot of traveling around early on, Tampa Heaton Association, and what was Dottie part of? Do you guys remember Dottie?
Yeah, they spoke to dragons and shit.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, he did. Yeah, um,
I don't
another,
remember the group.
yeah. So I went to a stumble there. They did outside in the dirt. It was like a horse farm, and and long time ago, and she handed me. There was nobody, no meat made. She was just her, and then she handed me the horn, and I just handed it right to the next person. Like, I'm not saying anything here, man. Even outside stumble. So I'm not picking on them. That's not the point. My point is that how radically uh, smarter we've gotten over the years about what we're doing, where we're going, why we're going there.
Yeah.
And
So
what we say
well,
and who we say it to.
Jim and Dottie, we built some bonds with. Jim was on the spectrum, I'm pretty sure. He spoke dragon, and so if we did something with him here, it wasn't in the hall; it was outside.
Yeah.
So, so you have to take what you get the way it comes. Now, had Jim and Dottie, they lived too far away to really be, permanent members, but they were really good about showing up, whatever else. And I'm just using them as an example. I'm not picking on them. But if he had really maybe seen something a little more traditional once, twice, and been exposed to the hall, which we didn't really have at the time, I think he might have started asking questions and, well, wait a minute, why am I? Yeah, exactly. Thank you. So, good people, nice people, but just
Yeah.
they weren't really truly committed to it. So it was almost like people play games and pretend they're Vikings and shit, whatever. But uh, and they're not heathen. I mean, if they're heathen, that's cool. But and so it was like that, and it was just I think they tried, but they can only do so much, and that's what they're at. So anyway, you look at this, and you just kind of take this as a lesson. You just take it with you, And they're both deceased now, but you take
Oh,
as
I didn't know they were both.
yeah, she died. He died right of something right after that, I think. But and that's terrible, But what they transformed into after participating with us became something completely entirely different. So their takeaway wasn't as good as it could have been or should have been. But nowadays, that if somebody like that came in, I probably wouldn't let them come in. But I mean, just visit and see if they leave with with a sense of, and that was pretty powerful. That was meaningful. Maybe I need to start asking questions. You know, this kind of thing. That would have been a good example of us reaching out and doing that with them. But that was a long time ago. So we do it differently now, like this, and that's the kind of thing. So because there are people out there, that, I'm sure, and that's fine, that could use a lesson or two in history and European history and other things. Heathenry and whatnot. Even if it's American heathen, doesn't matter. Even heathenry, such as it is, in a Christian, era, whatever. Um, so again, that the usefulness of this, and it's always good to talk about that because it made me think I've forgotten about that, and then uh, you know paired it with your question and said, well, this must be a good point. That's why I love doing this, Arla, because I'm sharing things that probably people didn't know, within the kindred. Some did, but that's how this has evolved. It's like I can say we're the best of the best, but who's going to believe me? But we're the best of the best. I believe me.
So, what about the future of hall life in Housecraft, Izmir?
Well,
What do you see for the immediate future and for the far future?
well, let me start with something. All right. Well, let me start with something that I was thinking about, and because again, we're all spread out, whatever else, and things may change. I mean, who knows? I'm only going to live so damn long, and I might
I
just
will.
retire before that. But anyway, um, people need to, in their homes. If it may not be a permanent home, but at least set up something that would make you feel comfortable with a sax and whatever else, something small, and take the time. even when you're away from, us and or it's not you or whatever, but you want something significant happen to you at work or you got promoted, you got, won the lottery, whatever. Have a stumble that you keep doing stumbles, okay, with whatever you prefer to drink, um, and have some small victories and rice at your house. So everybody should be able to build their hall. So one day when the hall changes, this will stay kind of a museum like place probably, but one day when the hall changes, there's stuff that's going to go to the hall. And if somebody already has a hall well established, then it's going to be easy for everybody else to go, the hall needs to be there. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's just my thinking. I mean, I'm sure there's more things of finesse in there that we could do, whatever. But that's, and I've talked to, and I'm not going to make it, a mystery out of it. I've talked to both Damon and Everett about retiring. I don't know when that's going to be. I'm not saying it's tomorrow. I'm just saying, this is one of the reasons we're doing this kind of stuff because I really want people to stay involved like we do because gotten a wonderful lesson out of this, which we said earlier, and but we can pass some of this on, and I think that's what needs to happen. Uh, for the sake of heathenry, let alone just the people, man. Heathens are fucking great people, man. Okay, they're good people.
Oh,
Ain't
of
none of us
course they are.
criminals. Yeah, yeah, 99.9%. Yeah, but I mean, I mean good people. I don't mean hurting anybody, beating their wives, robbing stores. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? Yeah,
Mhm.
it's not that we have that sense of honor and integrity. No, self worth. Oh, um, anyway, if everybody kind of worked on their own hall, I know some people rent. I get it all. And I think Everett's moving around again, isn't he? Is he moving again somewhere? I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Anyway, so if we do that, kind of build your own hall, get the space warmed up. Make it comfortable, make it usable, uh, and functional. Usable, functional, same thing. Make it totally functional for whatever we do. And if you have place to keep people is all it just ensures a bigger turnout, no matter
Yeah.
where you're at. So that's the kind of thing. And again, twice a year, is kind of our big thing because we've otherwise it would be all the time, cookouts and whatever else. But it's just because we've all moved. And I'm an hour away from Wendy. Literally an hour away from Lisa too, almost an hour, 45 minutes. And then Damon, you're 5 states away.
15 hours away.
15 hours, yeah. So anyway, again, um, one of the things because we're so spread out that I would like people to do anyway. I'm sure some people like candles. I know Wendy does and all that, but is have a right. You at least with your son have a right in your home. Just kind of and it mention Osprey Bay or Uzman or however you want to do it. Everybody else do the same thing, and I think you'd be surprised because I think the power of the hall it will resonate with your request, with your particular, stumble for whatever reason it is, whatever it may be. It doesn't have to be a holiday for sure, but it can be when you're not around us. We can raise a horn. I've raised a drink to all of you all, and there's nothing going on. So send that out, and so try that out. So we'll talk to the other members of the kitchen about doing that kind of stuff too.
I've actually already been doing that for years, at least once a week. I do
Okay, good.
something and put
Okay,
out a
right,
little little thing of vodka or whatever, and just say my piece to the ancestors, to the gods, and go on about my evening.
good, excellent.
Absolutely.
I do want to say one thing,
Hmm?
um, and I think it was kind of touched on, but not completely. Stumble is not. It's a right, RITE, but it's not a right,
Right,
RIGHT.
right,
It is
correct.
something if you show up to someone's hall, you can be invited to participate, but
Mhm.
you can just as well be sat on the benches and not.
Yeah,
It's
if I
not.
if I invited somebody, it'd be on the third round.
Yeah, and sometimes on high holidays, it is only very specific people, and we've done that. It's been a long time since we've done that, but it's just to very specific people, and maybe it's to the third round, and maybe it's to the fourth round if we
Fourth round,
decide.
right, right. Yeah,
But
Exactly.
it's just because you show up doesn't mean you get that horn passed to you.
right.
Yep.
Someone's
And it's
from
not disrespectful either. That's just how it is.
someone's
Mhm.
could be from the heart, but really it's a plan, you know? It's you need to plan yourself out, what you're gonna say, who you're gonna say, why you're gonna say it. That's
Yep.
really the instrument, and that's what made the hall possible because people were in a safe place, being fed, not outside and whatever. And so they had Thanksgiving, whatever it may be. Uh, that's why you just can't let anybody. You don't know what they're gonna say. You just remember that happened at Trothmick one year. Holy
Yeah,
jeez,
yeah.
Louise!
You have to protect the luck of the hall, and
Right, right, right,
and you can't do that if you got every Joe Bob and Billy
right,
Joe
right.
down the road coming in and
They can watch it. Yeah.
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 And you tell them if it's fourth round, you say, "You guys want some horn, the three of you, whatever. Yeah. Don't mention anything about gods. Just talk about you or your family, okay?" And yeah, you know what I mean, you just gotta be,
Yep.
gotta control that shit. Yeah. Somebody will go, you know what they'll do.
And
Don't repeat it.
I think for the most part, and Lisa's got a good handle on that. I haven't seen it happen, but I'm 100% sure that if somebody was involved there, that was wanting to be involved and they shouldn't, Lisa would make that judgment call.
That's
Because
correct.
because
Yep.
it's her place, right?
Right.
Yep.
Well, the
It's
other
her
person's,
that's her place to do.
but
And
also it would also be if my wife was participating, it would be that too.
Yeah.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
well,
Yes,
yeah, the women.
absolutely.
Like 100%.
And we would just okay. Sorry.
Yeah. Here it
Yeah,
goes.
no questions asked.
They weave. We just swing shit around.
Yeah.
So I want to give a quick example. When I was part of TBHA, we were having passing the horn, and this was after like the year we had Hurricane Charlie and all those other storms, and someone made the dumbass comment of honoring the storms. So it was the weirdest moment because the back door of the building we were in slammed, some stuff hit the ground, and someone said, "You gotta go." And he was escorted out after that.
That's
And
crazy.
it was just like, "Yep, we don't do that. We do not do that. Does not happen."
And that's that Mark alluded to that earlier at Trothman one year. Somebody uh raised a horn to one of the giants, or you
Yeah, it
know,
was giant. Yeah,
yeah, do it. Was it a giant?
yeah, it was giant.
But it didn't go over well. You
And
know, we'll say that.
yeah, I mean, uh, that guy. I thought the guy's eyes were gonna fall off his head when we stood up. Oh my goodness, swords drawn. Oh my god, the poor guy. He just didn't know any better. But at least it went well. Nobody got hurt.
Yeah, at least I got calmed down.
Yeah, you couldn't really take seriously, spiritually speaking, and not really not trying to be mean here. I'm just trying to be, my worldview is take anything seriously that we said, did, or anything at a trust boot stumble, and
Yeah.
it was, it was just different worldviews all around, which is fine, which is great in a group, but we had a lot of Europeans and stuff like that, but it just nothing sat well with me. And that's where I was really coming up, to it. And we made some big changes. And in the end, I think, Trove has paid the price for that, erroneous, activities.
You would think for all the people then with all the degrees they have in that place that people will be more educated about how to do things like that.
Now, degrees don't make a person smart.
I know that,
They,
but I was just making an
Statistic.
observation
Yeah.
though.
it just means that they spend a lot of time and money
So
in school.
one of my takeaways is,
Yep.
because so just for people if they're listening is like, we have a big U-shaped table and the read sits at the top table and then the people who do other things, with the money and the magazine, they all have their places there. And then it's senior people in the troth, and of course it was my kindred, or five of them, four or five of you, maybe just three. Anyway, and after some of we did 3 rounds at the read table, and then we passed the horn on, and that's what went everywhere. And the guy said that. Well, You know, what does it say to a group of people who work together, speak together, and learn together, when all of them stand up at the same time and reach for their swords when I said that?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it was offensive. Even in that atmosphere of just wide open nonsense, everybody can do, nobody's in charge. It's just insanity, and that I had to stop it. Had him sit and calm down, and we moved on. It was fine, but I think the message sent from Austin Bay, Kansas that day to the rest of the heathen world of the United States that was a part of that went, holy shit, that's real. Like,
I think the
that's
guy
real,
I think the guy
huh?
that said that probably
He didn't. I don't think he knew.
I think he shit himself.
Yeah, but I think he did. Yeah, I know. I knew he didn't know. I was like, oh god, but man,
It was a hard lesson. It was a hard lesson, and I don't know. I don't remember who the hell it was, but
no, I don't
maybe
remember. It
maybe
was,
he learned it.
yeah,
Maybe he
but
learned that lesson.
I think the message that we sent. Now I was a steersman, so I couldn't, you know, participate with that, but I stopped it as a steersman. But when they did that, I think the message across the room, there was 100 people in there or whatever. So that was pretty clear. There's some things we just aren't going to partake in, and this is not one of them, especially this information. Even though the symbol, in my opinion, wasn't a true symbol necessarily. It was just kind of but it was, but whatever. We went through rounds, and then the horn passed to the people in the audience or whatever else. But yeah, that's the kind of message that it comes back to us. People may say or hear something about that, and then they want to reach out and listen to you, whatever else, because you're willing to stand for something, not just be
Yeah.
part of something because it's cool or whatever the
Yeah.
fuck. So that's
But I got, I
burning
got
up.
a I got a question for you real quick. I want to. There's something I wanted to cover. What's the importance of a cap table in the hall?
Well, because the words emanating from those mouths are of greater
Well,
power.
first off, what is a cap table?
But yeah, anyway, so the people are of great importance and spiritually within the kindred, and have rank, generally speaking, or time in. Invaluable. It could be anybody. It could be a linguist. It could be, that are so vital to what we do and what we say. Somebody who is writes for us, and it could be anything. Or just all of us time in. You guys would be at the cap table, all of you. You'd be a part of this, and so and so, and the preparations. And there's no so people that want to aspire to become part of the kindred or move to the cap table are going to have to do a lot of things, um, and through different methods, whatever else, but it's going to be, language, do the best you can, read, 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 read. You're going to get, read and participate, come over, help out and stuff like that. So that's how you get to the cap table. But generally, cap table is either to retirement or life. So they're usually pretty small.
And now, so in a hall setting, right? And if you have a hall that's full and you're moving on to Sumble,
Mhm.
what role does the cap table play in that?
Well, that's when the mead maiden starts the stumble. And then it'll go usually to the left first, the left two people, if you got two people over there, and then back to you to the right. And then once they get that first round done, they do that important round. Then it can go to everybody else. Now, once you said something, hail the old man, whatever else, and nobody else needs to say it because you're at the cap table. Do an order, whatever. Once that's said, leave it alone. Find something else to do. So sometimes Stumble should just be really small. So again, when people prove themselves, and if you just now we're talking in the context of a bigger group of people
Yeah.
because we're small, and there's more of us, but yeah, we're generally small, and then that's when I would allow uh, by demonstration for us to them to participate in maybe the fourth round or even the third, actually probably the third round, and they would know what that was about. They've been around us or you or whoever at some point, sometime, and know, and that's when you see the respect and the dignity and the thoughtfulness, show itself. That's what you want. So the
Mhm.
third round would be better. So the first two at the top table,
Yeah.
cap table or read table. But yeah, but just, again, depends on the size of the group. It could just be, if it's a 6-member family, it's a father of the house, or they can call them a chieftain for somebody else that's not family there. Well, they're family anyway, but still. So that's the kind of thing. Again, in the hall, we're setting the importance. There's delineation. There is levels. It's not all about rank. There's chieftain. Okay, there could be something. There could be all kinds of things, but um, their ability. It's not necessarily again time and place. It doesn't necessarily mean a thing unless you are really providing something, whether it be wisdom, guidance, reading, language, whatever it is, and everybody else, the kindred, even the newer people, young people are benefiting from it. Then yeah, that's where you belong.
I think Mark's probably parched over there from talking so damn much. So
That's a capital P, sir. Par.
That's capital P for Publix.
Yeah. Hey, see you.
that's it.
All right, guys.
I want to thank everybody for hanging out, taking
Of course.
your
Publix.
time out, and
Yep.
everybody out there that's spent the last hour or so with us. We appreciate that, and see you next time.
All right, guys. Bye. Love y'all.
Bye.